What's good, you guys? James here again. Deck profile for you guys. Season 37 is officially over. Deep Sea Atlantean with some of the spice, watery text, which we will get into for the sake of the in-depth guide of Deep Sea Atlantean. If you guys seen it from the past year where I took it to certain events, Deep Sea Atlantean does too much on first turn, especially opening up the correct cards for the sake of the hand information and hand looping. Deck profile for you guys. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. You guys know the good stuff. Anyways, I'm going to give you guys the rundown. Deck profile, explanations on certain multiple copies and or changes to make moving forward with this list. Starting off for the Atlanteans, 3 Neptibus, 3 Heavy Infantry, 3 Marksmen, 3 Dragoons, 1 Poseidra, and 2 Quality Atlanteans. There are some lines in which, when it comes to the 3rd copy of Marksman and the 3rd copy of Heavy Infantry, both of these 3rd copies came up a lot. Especially the fact that in a late game setup is where if for some reason, if I expect to see any leftover floodgates, this is basically the part where infantry as well as the marksmen in terms of late game setups can clear them out. Also, past turn 3 or more so, as long as Poseidra is in my hand or graveyard, I can just literally have multiple marksmen's, Neptibus, and infantries to get rid of in terms of being tributed for the sake of the use of water monster effects for the sake of Poseidra, so that it not only it circumvents A, destruction from marksmen and infantry, B, reborn off from Neptibus, except Neptibus itself, and C, you're basically gaining so much advantage by returning spells and traps in terms of Giant Trunade off from Poseidra. And then, of course, the reason why the 3rd extra copies of Marksman and Heavy Infantry, as well as the 2nd copy of Quality Atlanteans, which we will get into for a bit, it's because of Kashtira Ogre specifically. And then the 2nd copy of Quality Atlanteans definitely came up in terms of back and forth between 1 to 2 copies. There were times that I legit wished that when I played the only 1 copy of Call, there were times that I wanted to have a 2nd copy of Quality Atlanteans for the sake of late game reborning the level 3 or lower Sea Serpents, aka Soul Charge, which is phenomenal. Like usually once or twice throughout middle of the matchups, if Quality Atlanteans resolve on the opponent's turn, and once the follow-up starts to flow, this is where you basically win the game from there on out. For the Deep Seas, 3 Deep Sea Diva, 1 Deep Sea Artisan, 1 Deep Sea Sentry, 1 Deep Sea Minstrel, 1 Deep Sea Aria, only 1 Aria specifically because hard ones per turn. Oh, and Magellanic, the Deep Sea City. In theory, the only idea we usually do with this field spell is to stack the water monster on top of the deck so that it circumvents A, guaranteed draw into whatever water monster you top deck for the follow-up, B, guaranteed mills off from Sentry, Artisan, Minstrel, Artisan, and Sentry, guaranteed mills from the top deck water off from special summoning themselves for literally whenever. If you were to expect to clear out even more floodgates like marksman or heavy infantry. Once you top that, you can just literally mill either 3, 2, or mill the top card so that way you're guaranteed whatever. For the honorary waters, I completely almost forgot that legendary Atlantean Tridon is an honorary Atlantean card, so sorry about that for one. In theory, with Tridon for that matter, the idea is Tridon plus any combination of Atlanteans specifically, not only A, gets you Poseidra, and B, additional effects are from the Atlanteans, which is extra nice. Now for the honorary waters. Click and Echo. This watery tech was discovered the very last minute of season 37, but unfortunately it was a little tad bit too late to experience it. But at the same time, discovering Click and Echo in Deep Sea Atlantean is absolutely crucial because first off, it's Water Sea Serpent, so that way Call of the Atlanteans as well as Deep Sea Diva in any shape or form for the Deep Sea girls, Century 2. This enables to do so much hand information by any means necessary. The case about Click and Echo is, can't be used as material for Fusion, Synchro, or XZ, can't be attributed while it's face up. Upon being sent to the graveyard just because of a Link summon, special this out in defense to the opponent's field of the player that Link summoned. This can be done twice per turn. While this card that was summoned by its own effect is on the field, in terms of Monster Zone, you must keep your hand revealed at all times. Random fun fact about Click and Echo. If anyone has been watching Distant Coder's deck profile of Runic for Hire Sprite, in terms of seeing this card specifically, hand information is crucial. And because you are looking at your opponent's hand, you know what deck they're playing, and it makes it so that you get to set up your board accordingly. Defender and General Ryle of the Ice Barriers. At first, I wasn't completely sold on this list specifically, only because there was no way for me to utilize both Ryo and Defender at the same time, which is nonsense to be honest. But when one of my guys messaged me the other day in terms of throughout the progression of the season is where Lancia, to be specific, is a card in which Defender and Ryo gets things going a lot easier. But most cases, aside from Lancia getting these two specifically, sure, Lancia getting Defender, but when it comes to General Ryle specifically, there is another way to fetch out General Ryle from the graveyard specifically that's not all from just Lancia by itself. There is another way doing that, and we will get to that extra deck tech later on. Title, nothing more, nothing less. It's Waters. Guitar. Guitar is absolutely crazy because Guitar is basically what I like to call watery runic, because when it comes to controlling more water monsters that you have, especially the fact that Call of the Atlanteans is a card, it makes it so that you are guaranteed to mill at least 3, as well as if you have any extra water monsters you control, plus the 1 in the extra monster zone, you are basically guaranteed mill to the banish face up 3 to a total of 6 extra mills, which is crazy. And then barrier statue of the Tauren, aka water barrier statue. Oof, long day. Water barrier statue. Nothing more, nothing less on watery good stuff. Moulin Glacier, aka Delinquent Duo of Elemental Lords. This card literally comes up almost the majority of the games. Nothing more, nothing less. And then spells and traps. 1 talents, 2 forbidden chalice, 1 single cosmic cyclone, called by the grave, blizzard, 2 spiritual water art AoE. This card is absolutely bananas. It makes it so that not only you get the hand information, but if you expect to see hand traps and or board breakers, you best rip them out immediately. And 2 copies of water AoE is solved because of Trap Trick. Same goes for the 2 evenly matched and the 3 impermanents. The extra deck: Miss Starboy, Marine says Coral Anemone, and Area Link 2. Coral came up all the time, Area, most occasions, and then Starman is for the sake of watery OTKs if done right. Christian Quandax, Sea Dragon Lore Gishelnodon, Deep Sea Repetitor. This is the synchro that leads to getting General Ryle from the graveyard specifically, because if this synchro summon card is sent to the graveyard, target 1 level 5 or higher water monster in your graveyard that isn't Deep Sea Repetitor, special it out in defense, and the turn into this, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special except waters. Basically, we don't care. The whole deck is water. Nothing more, nothing less. And on top of that, the effects are still live, which is even more insane. As in the insane way to get General Ryle from the grave to the field. You could technically also do Poseidra Tidal in terms of higher levels, as well as most of the higher level synchros in terms of level 5 or higher waters. Most cases, it usually be these guys. That isn't Repetitor herself. And I always say that Repetitor, in terms of controlling the card, is more of a win/lose condition to some degree, because most decks in general should have no trouble clearing the card, none whatsoever. And then Coral Dragon, Deep Sea Prima Donna. This card is absolute bananas for no reason. White Aura Whale, Animantipator Dragites, Trishula, OG Trishula, Ravenous Crocker Dragon. This card comes up once, and Outing Floodgates be doing its job. Changing cards crazy comes up all the time. Ice J Gamir Adrin, that is for your effect protection when you don't have any offensive plays going. And then Lancia, obviously, for the sake of General Ryle and Defender, and once leaving the field, that isn't going back to the extra deck as long as it was face-up synchro summoned properly. This is the part where you get the OG Trish, and on top of that, because the fact that it is treated as a synchro summon, this makes OG Trishula instantly live. If there's any changes moving forward with the deck, obviously, shoutouts to one of my guys for telling me about General Ryo and Defender for that matter. And then when it comes to the changes, just to make the profile more efficient moving forward, it's actually 3 cards to take out to make it a 42 card deck. You can try to build out however you want the deck to be, but I strongly urge to make it a little bit more of a recommendation based off from the deck list play style. But if there was ever cards to take out for the sake of consistency over power and all, it is between infantry, marksmen, and Call of the Atlanteans, just to make it completely searchable by any means necessary, just to make the main deck profile look like this as it is. With that said, this has been James Polk with the unique deck profile of Deep Sea Atlantean. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you haven't already, smash the notification bell to keep yourself constantly updated. And we'll catch you guys in the new season.